Hi, this is Steve Youngblood.
And this is Caroline Dunn.
And we're going to give a recap of our presentation here at Product Camp 2018, Product Camp Atlanta, of course. Our presentation really had to do with writing product requirements when you are constrained for time, resources, and money. We did tell them about was how to explain what, why, who, when, and how these items you need to answer before you even get started writing your requirements.
I gave an example of a project we did with Baby Einstein creating their Alexa skill and how we went through that process with them and accomplished a win-win situation with them. And then we went into an example of a product requirements document in Agile.
Yeah, so our key takeaway, and hopefully everybody's takeaway from this is, make sure you've answered the what, why, who, when, and how, and even sometimes where, before you even get started writing requirements.
See you next year at Product Camp 2019. We had a great time this year at Product Camp 2018. Thank you so much, everybody in Product Camp Committee, for putting this fabulous event together. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're quite excited to talk to you today. Anybody here ever work on projects where all of a sudden you have to create something really fast and they've given you no money? You have maybe 2 developers and they want it tomorrow. So actually one of my colleagues here, Lex Butler, is in the room with me, and Lex and I have been working under that for about the last 6 months. Actually, Matt, is Matt here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
There he is. So, and Matt as well too. Actually, Matt and I have been locked in a room for the last 2 weeks, basically going through this. So what we want to do is help product managers and talk to you today about how you can launch a new project with limited information, time, and money. And talk about the things we go to, how we break it all down, and how we were able to define a product quickly and get it to market. So.
Hi, I'm Caroline Dunn. I'm with Steve, yes, and we run a business together.
We do.
Yeah. So
And we're always in this situation.
Yeah, we're always in this situation, right? All right. So we thought we would put this together, and this is based off some of the blog posts that we have on our website, and so there's going to be more at the end. But let's start with something really, really simple. One guiding principle that we have as we are running our business is done is better than perfect. Okay? If you're waiting for perfection, you need a lot more money. Okay? Perfection can be the enemy of good or getting things done.
That's right.
Yes. So that's one of our guiding principles. Is done is better than perfect. All right. So if you can just if you are a perfectionist, this is going to be tough.
And just to let you know, Matt and I are going through a project right now where if we don't have it ready in 2 weeks for the big demo, we might as well pack it up and go home. So we're going to have it as close to perfect as we can, but really we want to make it to the dance. Then we'll get a chance to dance.
All right. So before you start, let's talk about a few things. The what, how, who, when, and why. Right? Why are we doing this? It's really easy for us to get caught up into our own agendas or our boss's agenda and really not think through, hey, I want to build a product that sells. I want to build a product that makes the world a better place, right? And so thus, let's start with why, what, when, and how.
And by the way, we should have put where on there. I think actually Caroline had that hidden.
Yeah. Well, we for the sake of time, we're not gonna do where. We're gonna start with what. What are we building?
What is it? Yeah. So what are we planning to build? What is it? Is this new functionality? Is this a refresh? Is this a complete new product rebuild? Or perhaps is it something completely new? A lot of people in product management are used to building that next feature, but when you're taking on a complete new project, you might want to really ask yourself, what are we really building? And a lot of folks don't know. So is this just a new product, or are we trying to pretty up the thing we have? You've always heard the putting lipstick on a pig. I know that sounds really horrible. Most of us are not putting lipstick on a pig, but most of us are sometimes just refreshing what we have. With what Matt and I are doing right now, we've really taken a good chance to say, are we really trying to make our product look better, or are we trying to make it be better? And so I think that's a good thing to ask yourself up front. Sometimes it's a new UI. We thought at first that's what we were going to be doing, is putting a UI on our product. When we got finished, we realized we were fixing some of the plumbing underneath. And so we realized it's a different product today. Attacking a new industry, that's another thing. People, are we just trying to do something new, or new for a new industry? What is this? Is this a priority? What is it? Is this something that the CEO has asked us to do? Is this something that the market's demanding? Or is this something that we've got to do to win a big deal? And then finally, is this within our wheelhouse? Sometimes when you're looking to do something, you start to stand back and go, wait a minute, we don't have any of the knowledge of how to do this. This is actually not, in our case, a CRM. maybe this is a marketing automation product, and that's not what we are. So it's always good to know what is it you're building.
Why? Why are we doing this? Sometimes at the end of a project, we're so far off of where we started, we ask ourselves why. So always keep that in mind.
So first question is, why are we doing this? Is it to make more money? How many people here today are working on some frantic project that's really got you stressed out? Anybody? A lot of people are in here. Have you gone back to ask your senior management team or perhaps the other folks, like, why the heck are we doing this? You know, we got too much on our plate already. Is it for an RFP? Is there some big deal? Matt and I are dealing with not only having to better our product, Lex as well too, but we're looking at a huge project, a huge bid that's out, and we need to try to win it. Requirements gathering may require information from investors, customers, fellow employees, sales. So again, you want to find out why are we doing this and make sure everybody sees this as a priority. This, by the way, these are all things we do before we start writing requirements. Best thing to do is make sure you've broken everything down first and you have these questions answered. And then finally, possible answers might be, well, our product is old and stale and right now we can't get sales traction. Or it could be supportive saying, my gosh, I've got so many tickets in my queue, I can't get forward with this. Or your investment team might be coming to you and saying, hey guys, I'm not going to do the next round unless this thing really is drastically different or updated.
So, what is this for? Do you ever get into a project handed down from your boss and you're like, what is this for?
So, is this for a certain industry? Who wants this? By the way, it's amazing how often I've been in product management. You guys tell me if you've been through this. How often have you had someone come up to you and say, yeah, we need this to win this big deal? Who? You know, you find out that really it might be something that is just makes a customer happy but doesn't really move the industry. So it's always good to know who's asking for it. In the business we work with right now, our two biggest customers are Georgia and Alabama football teams. If they're asking for it, we're probably going to go, done. The two last teams in the national championship. If it comes out as Jacksonville State and Alabama, we might go, might have to think about that one a little bit. Good school, not as big as the other big guys we work with. So who is this for? Existing customers? Right now we're working on some big bids. The U.S. Army or the National Guard comes in and says, I want it. We're going to go, oh, right away. If it's our biggest stockholder, we're going to jump. But odds are, if it's just really something we'd like to do because it seems cool, we're probably going to have to sit and think before we even start with product requirements. We're going to see if we can justify the investment. Technical debt. That's another, who wants it? Is it Matt coming to me saying, Steve, my gosh, we haven't updated this stuff in 7 years. I really wish we could make
Technical
it.
debt. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, see? So who is it for? Is it for your CTO? CFOs, by the way, sometimes want to eliminate technical debt because it's costing too much money. Should we go from a hosting center and move to the cloud because we might save money if we're at Amazon?
So it comes down to, are you making money or are you saving money?
Right.
Simple as that.
Now, by the way, these are all the things we do to break down our project before we start writing the requirements. And Caroline's going to then go through a good.
I'm going to go through an example at the end of this. When are we doing this? And that goes back to our, done is better than perfect. You can get it perfect, but by then the whole industry has completely changed.
Right. And sometimes I'll tell you what the first thing I do is, when do we have to have this available? I always start at that farthest out date and then start stepping back going, what can I do? What should I do? And then I can start thinking about writing requirements on the real list of things that I need to build. Do we have a need for a proof of concept? In other words, it's not just due to launch it, but is this, do I need to get it out in front of people's eyeballs first, so that's going to affect my timeline? Do we need estimates? Dev, financial? When can we really start? Right now our development guys might be on projects and they can't just rip away and go work on something new. Again, constrained resources, constrained time, these are all things you got to think about. It's best to start from launch and move backwards. So if you've got a proof of concept, consider that. If you've got a launch, consider that. But always go out to that date you have to know you have to be live. And then bring it back. Figure out what you can do. By the way, you're also answering all the other ones while you're answering when. And see them really, once you figure out what you can really realistically do and should do, then you can start thinking about breaking it out into requirements.
So how many of you, as product managers out there, feel like you're a ninja?
Yeah, it's
Ask yourself how.
Yep. So How will this be supported by the CEO or the board? How are we going to get this done? Are we going to have the support of everybody available? If I go do this and I've answered all the other questions, when I move forward, will I have the support of my team? Will I have the people I need? When we talk about constrained resources. Right now, Matt and I are working with limited resources. We have folks like Lex helping us out as well too, but we don't. Luckily, that's really played into how much we can really build for this big project. Can we get more people if we need them? That gets back to how would we pay for them? How will this be presented inside the company to the development team? Will we just say, hey, you guys are working on this? Don't forget, developers also are marketing people too. They have opinions. And so part of the thing that I typically do and that Caroline does is we actually get buy-in before we move forward, considering that the development team is just as invested in the product as we are as product managers. How do we make money at this? How are we going to basically turn a return? Also, how can we reuse the code that we built for this severe project so that not only do we get done on time, but that we have something to take forward to the rest of the company? And how are we different from the competition if we roll this out? Are we really going to look different, or is this just a pet project and it's really a one-off? I don't like one-offs. I think most of us here probably don't like one-offs. And if you don't have to do them, it's always best to do your work in such a way that you have code or you have product that can lend itself to other areas of the company.
How to write requirements. Who solved that? We have that. Do we have it all solved right now? Pretty easy, huh? Tell everybody what they need to do and it comes out perfect. Perfect.
Maybe we should ask folks here, is everybody here involved in agile product management today or agile development? Most people in the room? So most of us are used to writing user stories or epics. Does anybody here today really write the old style PRDs, product requirements documents? So we still have someone that does that? It's funny, over the last 5 or so years, I've noticed people move far away from that. But in fact, they're pretty powerful.
Just a question. I'm in a situation where I do the marketing org and the sales org. Our development engine and offering management team has went from pure DMRD to agile.
Right.
And what I'm seeing is they've lost all the discipline of answering the exact questions you addressed. How do you map the old, rigid stuff that was about requirements into agile so you don't lose it all as you try to go to market with it?
Ooh, that's good. We're going to
Caroline's
cover that. That's next on the agenda.
But it's really, if you want to talk about why we did this session, it's because I've sat in with a lot of product managers and development guys, and I've noticed that we go right to the very bottom point. We never step back to ask the how, when, why, when, and all of that. We don't really say, why are we doing this? How do we do it? What are the times? And what I really think we need to think about is going big, coming down to then writing larger or PRDs for the various areas, and then taking those into user stories, epics user stories, and then getting development. But that's a good point. I'll leave that to Caroline. She's gonna talk about that.
So we're gonna talk about use cases. We're gonna talk about those user stories and how important those are. But keeping in mind exactly what you just said, the big picture. We spent so much time already in our session just talking about the big picture, right? So here's our example. So we wrote the Baby Einstein Storytime app for Alexa, and so for the show and for the Echo spots, and then also just the regular ones. What happened was we were approached by the people who own Baby Einstein, and they said, we want to enter a contest.
By the way, an Atlanta company.
Yeah, kids too, yeah. So they approached us and they said, hey, we want to enter this contest. We're having a contest for kid skills on the Alexa, okay? And this was, I think, Tuesday. All right, and the contest deadline was the following Tuesday. And I said, sure. They were like, do you know how to do state management on the Alexa? I was like, sure. Here's a blog post, free of charge. Here you go. And they were like, no, you don't understand, Caroline. You've misunderstood my question. All right. The deadline is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. We can meet tomorrow. I can give you the requirements. But if you don't turn this in by Friday, you're fired.
We hadn't even hired yet.
We had to understand what the requirements were, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to generate an interactive story on the Echo Show, and basically a kid could come in, launch their Storytime app, and have the story. They could either go to the backyard or to the sea. And if they went to the sea, they could go to the beach and the tide pool, and there was stuff, there was fun stuff to do at the tide pool, and then there was fun stuff to do in the fountain in the brook. But you had to understand state management. Because if you're in the backyard, you can't go to the pool, and if you're in the sea, you can't go to the fountain, right? So they put some of this together for us. They put some of the graphics together for us, and we had to go through and we helped them with their user stories, with their use cases. And what we pointed out to them was, yeah, this was easy, right? But we pointed out to them, here are your requirements here. Okay, here's all the scenarios in what looks like 6 things. Here's the minimum number of scenarios that you need to have. You have to have 14. You have to code for 14 different scenarios. So we turned this into this, and turned that into code, and coded that all by Friday at 6 o'clock.
But we also went through with them, instead of just getting the gig and then building it and getting the money, we said, can we talk to you first? And so we went down and asked them, why are you doing this? Who are you doing it for? We then split up things. Caroline said, Steve, we want you to write out the basic PRD, the product requirements documents for each of these areas. We then shared them back and forth and churned them out. And once we went through that process, did we create this. So it's really easy to jump right into, these are essentially more like your user stories, but we forced ourselves to really think through and ask them the tough questions. Hey, why are you doing this? If you win the contest, what does it mean for kids too? Does this mean you're more visible in the marketplace? First they were thinking, why are you asking me all this money? I'm trying to give you money. And we said, well, we want to take your money, but we want to make you happy too.
Yeah,
and
so that ties back to what we started out with, why, what, who, when, and how, and making sure that you have all this. So the target release was Tuesday, okay? All right?
Constrained time.
Yes. What was the purpose? Entering a contest. So they didn't, at the end of the day, they didn't win the contest, okay? There were 5,000 submissions in this contest, but they got featured. Their goal was never to win the contest. Their goal was to hit the deadline and be one of these entries, and they did get featured on several Amazon things where they did get featured, and they did get a lot of traffic on the skill that they built. They got a one-on-one meeting with Amazon. They flew out to, it was on their dime, they flew out to Seattle, and they did get that one-on-one meeting with Amazon and started a really great relationship because they showed what they could do.
By the way, and it's also resulted in an add-on business for us, so.
Yeah, under NDA. Yeah, so yeah, by understanding the business objectives, it would have been simple just to put something together, but because we understood what and why and what we needed to do to make it really crisp, what was important about it, it led to other opportunities as a win-win for them and for us as well. So.
Did you know when they were initially proposing it to you that their goal was basically to be in the contest and get featured?
Yes, absolutely. They did say to us, yeah, we have to hit the deadline. We're not hitting the deadline so we can win. There's no way we're going to win this thing because there's so many entries. But yeah, we're doing this for exposure.
We got to needle them for the details.
Yeah. They started with, do you know how to do custom? Do you know how to do state management? That was the first question I got. And I said, yes. There's a blog post about it here. And so that was the first question. But then we were able to dig down a little bit deeper. So that worked out, that really worked out well. And so one of the things that we don't talk about, and I think is really important, is out of scope. What are we doing or what are we not doing? Yeah, you could have a really interactive story that went on for hours, okay, with 10 more backyard mountain and sea and tide pools, but they had to narrow it down for their time frame.
And that's sort of the simpler is better too, and I think
less is more.
Has anybody here worked in enterprise management software, so big ticket types of things? It's lots of people. It's common to put lots of stuff in there. And sometimes you have to take a step back and say, you know what, let's make this most functional for those things that people do most of the time. And we'll only add things in later when we really see there's an opportunity to do it. And that way you get a cleaner product, looks nicer, and you don't waste time on things that perhaps only service 2 or 3% of your least desirable users. Please go ahead.
Do you have an example of when you walked away from an opportunity because, as you asked these questions, you didn't feel like they knew what there was there, who, what, why, and how, and all that?
But unfortunately, we walk away from more opportunities than we actually do. So we are constantly contacted by people who can't even get to helping us create requirements because they don't even know what they want. They come to us and say they want the world. They have, 100 podcasts that they've already recorded. They have this, and they want everything to be accessible from Alexa. Well, it's Alexa, and you're not going to know. You can't make 100. Your menu cannot be 100 things on just voice. So part of that is taking that voice expertise that we have and paring it down to something that is that you can realistically do. That's a win-win. So let's say you had 100 podcasts you wanted to make on Alexa, and I said, yes, I can code that. That's not a problem. But your user, how do you know that your 100 podcasts are available? Does Alexa go through and say, option 1?
Another good example of why.
So we do get that. That I would say is I get that more. And when we do get into that situation and they're not willing to pare it down, we do have to walk away.
So another good example of possibly walking away is what Lex and Matt and I are working on another project. The requirements were so extreme, and the amount of resources looked like they would be so big. It took negotiation internally with another large company that we're teamed with to basically say, if you want all of that, we're the wrong partner, because we can only do this. Even with extreme analysis, asking all these questions right here, we realized we can't get there. Luckily, we were able to negotiate down and find that perfect fit. Then we started writing the PRDs, which resulted in the true requirements that ultimately went into user stories into Jira that we could then go forward and process. But we just want to encourage everyone. The feedback, I think the question came in the back here about writing MRDs and PRDs again. There's something magical about writing on a key area of your product, writing a 4 or 5 page document with screenshots and mock-ups. It really starts to make you feel like, I think I understand what we're doing here. And I think there's a habit now right away of just putting something in at a small level and not thinking about the big product as a whole. By the way,
that was an excellent segue into our next slide, which is putting together the requirements. And this is a template we pulled from
Atlassian.
Okay, and this is it's actually a 2-part slide right here. So this is the first part of the slide, and we do cover everything that we covered in this presentation is covered in this document. And as Steve was saying, put together a small document instead of a big, huge book. Put together a small document that hits the highlights of what you're looking for.
By the way, it's interesting. Michael P.A., this guy that's worked here recently, he's turning around. Are you presenting, Michael?
Already did.
Oh, you already did, great. So recently, someone had asked for an advanced search capability within our product. We didn't quite know what it meant. We went through the how, what, when, where, why, and when, and all those other ones. Got with Michael to help us, being that he's a data expert, and we basically figured out what could we build quickly that would have huge impact. We went through why are we doing this, how much is it going to cost, who might it touch, and then the feeling was we just needed to do something right away. And I said, hold on, let's work with some data experts and figure out how we can better our customers, make some money off of it, have better visibility within our existing customer base. And Michael helped us put together a faceted search mechanism within our athletic CRM that now has blown people away. As a matter of fact, when we showed it to someone yesterday, Matt got a roll up from them. He loved it so much. So, but really, before we built it, there was a habit of saying, just jump in and do it. And we said, wait a minute, let's figure out why we're doing this. And it took me to sit down and write a document as if I were writing prose before I got down into putting in Jira. And that really helped us make sure that we were doing the right thing for the right reasons.
Something to that point, I'm an engineer, programmer, and that being able to have access to that document, not just straight into task and stories, helps get buy-in from your engineers, which is key. So they may even catch things that you haven't caught, or you can address things up front. Like, well, that's maybe not going to fit into our framework, or you start asking all the right questions as opposed to just, hey, do it. Engineers don't like that either. They don't like here, just do it.
So Matt looked at my document and he said, wait a minute, Steve, you want to have sliders go this way, but you've got them kind of over here going this way. Shouldn't you have them at the top and have your pick boxes here on the left? And I thought, why didn't I think of that? So there's a good situation where the engineer helped the product manager be a better product manager. And I don't think we'd have gotten that had I just put it in and said, here, Matt built this. So it was a good opportunity for us to ask all those questions and really have the engineers help us ask those, saying, why are we doing this? When's your time frame? I don't think that's a good idea. For we product manager, we're going, no, I own this. I get to make the call. And I'm thinking, no, we all own the product. So when Carol and I work together, we have to remember, sometimes we swap roles. She might write the code and I might write the specs or vice versa. We have to remember we both are invested in creating what we're creating.
So in this example, we have, target release, we've got the document status and owner, so all of the good stuff, we've got all the user stories, and then in the next, we've got these are key. A picture is worth 1,000 words. We've got these mock-ups, okay, and then questions, and then all the stuff, and then here, really important, not doing, what's out of scope. Let's not forget about it, because that gets into, we get into scope creep. Who loves scope creep here? Yeah, we get into scope creep. Document what you're not doing. I think that is what you are doing, what you're not doing. I think that is really key in this. So we'll open up for questions now.
Questions, guys?
Yeah, that was our presentation. We wanted to keep it on track.
Anybody have any good anecdotal evidence or situations you're in right now? Obviously, you can't tell us the details, otherwise you have to shoot us. But any good examples where you've been under a constrained situation and had to get something out fast and had to break down things like that? Anyone? Please.
We have a pretty big client this time, and there's an aspect of our product like demographic information,
Yeah.
right, that they want to validate. And we're presenting on September 10th to the rest of the team.
Yep.
And so the people that we sold it to bought the product, but they're not paying for the product. So I have now key people that are actually paying for the products. Monday. But basically, like, I'm meeting with the development team, I'm meeting with the sales team, they have interaction with them, and then we move on there. They came back, hey, we need this exactly, and I'm like, well, what is it we need? Yeah, we need this. So I got, like, examples of, like, a document of how to make it out, and I looked at it, and what can we do in here, already in the product, what we can adapt to the program, and I met on Friday, we saw, like, lead, okay, so these are the things that they want in total company, you can pay for it.
Yeah.
What can you go with?
Perfect. So take it high, break it down before you take it low. I think that's really exactly what you've done, and that's really our key here. Take it high, break it down, then go to the requirements.
Yeah, so we have a website, alexadevgroup.com. So the example I posted is on that website right now as a blog post, and then all of our slides will be available on our website and our LinkedIn profile as well. So on slide, we'll put this up on SlideShare.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.